Hi, and welcome back to Fishing with David Pyle. It's February 18th, 2017, and I'm on the Columbia River today, just doing a how-to video for spring Chinook salmon fishing. We're about a month out before the season really starts to go. The water temperature is far too low, and we have pretty murky water coming out of the Willamette River right now, so it's not a great day to fish, but I'm mainly coming out here just to do some examples on how to fish. I'm going to start off by talking about gear. I'll go into how to rig a herring on a mooching rig, and then the third piece is basically how to get your gear down in the strike zone, bouncing the bottom with your lead. So stay tuned, watch the video, and hopefully we can be interactive and get lots of comments and questions, and everybody can learn something from this. Okay, one of the most important things of fishing in your own boat is to make sure that whatever rods you put out in the water, that you're using similar gear. In particular, I think it's very important that you're using the same braid on all of your rods, such that when you put your gear in the water, you're going to know exactly that all 3-4 rods, whatever you have out there, are fishing the same way. If you were to use thicker line, then it's going to have more resistance and it's going to come up off the bottom differently. So in particular, I'm using 50-pound braid on these Dakota reels. I don't care what kind of reel you use, but these are Dakotas, and a 50-pound braid, which is plenty for spring Chinook fishing. And this is a 9.5-foot rod. My other rod is a 10-foot rod, so pretty similar in length. And these happen to be Shimano Claris, a pretty decent rod reel combination for us. Okay, at the termination point of our braid line, I've got 2 beads and I've got a slider in between those 2 beads, so I attach a dropper line when I'm bouncing the bottom. Basically my lead is at the bottom of this dropper line. I have a bead swivel, and then I connect to my flasher. Probably could go even shorter than this on this, what we call the bumper line, and off the back of your flasher another swivel, and it goes out to a mooching rig. So the determination of watercolor really is going to help you decide how long the leader is. In this case, I'm at about 3.5-4 feet. So you in darker water, you're going to want to bring it closer to your flasher. In clearer water, you're going to want to go longer, 5 to 6 feet in some cases. Okay, as you can see, I have a green label herring, and I'm going to put that in my template, and I'm going to cut it for a cut plug herring. Make one nice slice through the fish so you're not getting a jagged cut. And as you'll see, it creates like a little bit of a diagonal at the head of a piece of herring. Now I'm going to put my mooching rigs, which I'm using barbless hooks on the Columbia River today. My first hook is going to go through what we call the short side. So this being the long side, this being the short side, I'm going to put my first hook through that short side, come out as far down as I can get it. I wiggle this line through because I don't want to rip out the side of the skin, and I take my top hook and I go straight down through the longer side, but straight down, and come out as close to the front as I can, so that if I get too close it'll rip out. If I go back too far, the tail end of this fish will just wag. So I want a nice tight roll on this, and I also want to make sure, and these are slip knots, I'm going to pull my hook down so it sits at the back, at the tail of that piece of herring. So I'll start my motors up, and we'll throw this in the water and give you a demonstration of how it rolls, because that's to make sure before you put it on the bottom or you drop it down to the bottom that your fish is rolling properly, or you won't get a strike. So that'll be the next piece here. Okay, I'm getting ready to drop this herring in the water, and I want to drop the herring in first and the flasher in second so I don't create a tangle. Put that in the water, and once I get this in view to see the roll we're looking for, it's a nice tight. Every hookup, it's going to probably have just a slightly different look. but that's effectively what we're looking for right there. Once we have that, we can start dropping our gear to the bottom, which we'll do right now. Okay, now that I'm at my desired depth here at Davis Bar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my line down to the bottom, and I'm going to come up one crank. And basically when I'm dropping down to the bottom, I'm not just free spooling because I'll tangle up my flasher with my herring. So I'm going to go out in pulls, and the pull is from the reel to the first eyelet. And I'll go down pulls till I feel the bottom, and then I'll come back up one crank, and then my gear should be right down there near the bottom in the strike zone of where salmon are swimming. Spool these out, not at a super fast pace, until I feel the bottom. As you can see, my line's at about a 45-degree angle. I just felt bottom right there. Okay, watch the tip of the pole. As I go down, it has a little thunk. And so I'm just going to make sure that I'm still there at the bottom. I'm going to come up one crank, and then I'm going to set it in the rod holder, and we're going to wait for a salmon to come bite it. In the meantime, I want to get my motor such that that's at about a 45-degree angle. I want my line at a 45-degree angle, and when I see a heavy vibration on it, it's dragging on the bottom, then I need to come up another crank just to keep it from dragging. We don't want to drag it. We want it near the bottom, ticking the bottom every 5 seconds or so, just so we know we're still down there, but we do not want it to drag. It'll blow off your bait. So, first lesson in getting into the strike zone, be right down near the bottom because that's where the fish are swimming. Okay, I'm going to give an example of when we're dragging on the bottom, and I'm just going to give it some line and just watch the vibration at the tip of my pole. That tells me that we're dragging, and you want to watch for that, and obviously give it a couple cranks up until you're clear. You're no longer doing that vibration, but every once in a while it should tick the bottom. We're looking pretty good right now.